Welcome back to another episode on the Aaron Doughty podcast. Today, I've brought my best friend, Victor Oddo. Say hi, Victor.
Hey, everybody. Good to be here. Hello,
Victor's
Aaron.
back. Victor has been on 2 or 3 episodes at least before. And many of you know, he's my best friend. He also has a YouTube channel, which now your main focus is podcasts and other stuff. But writing, he writes a lot.
Books. Yeah.
He's been wiring in his new identity of becoming an author and a writer.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
It is. I've taken Aaron's exact advice about you going on YouTube. You had to become a YouTuber, even though you had the 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
Me, I don't have a book out yet, but I become a writer. Why? Because I now write every day. It's part of my routine.
That's cool.
And becoming part of my identity. And it has been necessary, I think, to be really productive and embrace it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. It's cool to see you do that. Like, you're really trusting the process with that. My version of that is is actually the not making as many videos. Like, I was making daily videos, and I was like, well, if I want to become somebody that's not just a YouTuber, and I realized too, anytime I meet people, I tell them, oh, I'm a YouTuber. I had to drop that from my identity.
Yes.
But I was like, the action of me doing less videos is actually wiring in a new version of me.
Yes, I think a lot of times it is the initial part of it is like stopping the things that are perpetuating the old identity and taking up all of your energy, leaving no room to be this new person you're feeling called to be. So that's usually step one for a lot of people, is letting go.
Yeah, letting go and then wiring in.
Freeing up space and then wiring in.
Cool. So what are you doing right now? You're in you were here for a couple days.
Yeah, I'm visiting you. This has been nice. You and Drew. Yeah.
We went ATVing 2 days ago, which is cool. What did you think of ATVing?
It was a lot of fun, man. Yeah, I enjoyed being the passenger, though.
It's not
something I was
wondering
if I would
about
get
that.
into and want to drive, but it is fun.
Okay, good. I was wondering.
Joy.
I was like, there's going to be a friend that I have that's going to say, I want to drive. And for those of you that don't know, I recently got an ATV. And I've only driven it 4 or 5 times. But it's super fun to drive.
Yeah, I could tell.
But there's
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it is. But at the same time, I know there's gonna be one friend's like, I want to drive it. I'm gonna have to make the decision. Do I let someone else drive it?
Yeah. Any experience at all?
But
bro?
knowing Victor, it's funny because anytime Victor, you and I would go on a road trip, you just don't like driving.
Correct. Yes.
You used to come to Sedona, and I would always drive while we were here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like, okay. So okay, cool. You enjoyed being the passenger.
It was fun, man. Yeah. It was very thrilling and neat to so quickly get out to the beautiful Sedona spots that are away from
cool
traffic,
spots.
away from people.
Yeah. So we did that for a day. We went to Bell Rock yesterday, which was really cool.
It was very cool, man.
Yeah, we hadn't done that in a while. We used to come here and we'd do that, we had our routine. We'd do that, and then we go somewhere else and eat.
Yeah.
But it's been even though we kind of live here now, half the time, it's been months and months since we've been there. So it was good to go there. We were there for 3-4 hours.
Yeah.
Super recharging. What's your favorite hikes or places in Sedona?
I was just going to mention, I think, because me and Aaron are both Bashar heads, you can call us. And allegedly Bashar is an ET. I'm sure most of you listening know who it is. He is.
Yeah.
Right? You talk about him sometimes.
I do talk about him a lot. And in the beginning, when I first was making YouTube videos, I was afraid to talk about him because you see this guy that's like this. It's
Yeah.
And it looks kind of intense. But the information is so powerful that it's I don't even care anymore. And now I'm just more free, so I just fucking share it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so we're both into Bashar and have been for many years, a decade pretty much.
Yeah.
And anyway, allegedly, according to Bashar, their ship, even though it's kind of in another dimension, is above Bell Rock,
funneling energy
into
it that's helping balance out the planet.
Yes, exactly.
During this time of transformation.
Me and Aaron just love Bell Rock. We've always loved it. I always feel clear and tapped in when I spend time there. And me and Aaron, we spent a few hours there yesterday. And I came down from there feeling just
buzzed.
Really just like myself, really more fully myself than I have felt in a while. So it was wonderful. So that's probably certainly my favorite energy.
Did the mushrooms have anything to do with it?
What do you mean?
Do you want to talk about that? Should we not talk about that?
It's up to you.
I'm just kidding. We're going to talk about it. So we did a microdose yesterday. It was a real small microdose.
Yeah, of reishi mushrooms.
Reishi mushrooms.
Yeah, it was helpful, man. It was nice.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't do mushrooms very often.
I do it daily, so just kidding.
But we just took a little bit of a microdose, and and then we go to bell. And so I almost just felt a little bit more elevated and a little bit more just tapped in. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of people, especially successful people that microdose. And it almost helps rewire the brain too. Creativity. It helps to it changes the neuronal connections in the brain.
It does. It's
So
like
it's kinda
expands
cool.
your consciousness and allows you to kind of view yourself in reality from like a higher vantage point, with like a more clear vantage point. And just based on my understanding, it's like these new ways, these clear ways of seeing life and reality and yourself are in a sense like ingrained into your I don't know how to say it, but like your brain
like autopilot.
wires it in. So even though you go back to normal, it's like those perspectives you gained become a part of you, and you can benefit from them going forward. So it's a really good way for rewiring addiction and rewiring just any new way of being you would like to wire in, basically.
Yeah, I think they're learning more and more about that now, about how to use like mushrooms or something like certain psychedelics as tools towards breaking addictions, breaking patterns, PTSD, and like people that come back from war and stuff. Like it's kind of cool to see, you know.
Yeah, it's pretty miraculous.
Do you have any funny mushroom stories?
Oh boy, I have a whole bunch. I have one for you.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, so I hope it doesn't take me into a tangent, but a lot of people know that have listened to me on your podcast or YouTube videos before that I had a Kundalini awakening, right?
Yeah.
So that's a whole thing where you basically awaken this, what is said to be a dormant psychic sort of chi-like energy that everyone has at the base of their spine. And a lot of people listening is probably active right now, and it's sort of progressed for you to your own benefit in sort of a natural, organic way to where you don't notice it. Me, however, I sort of exploded it open all at once in a sense, and I had like 3 years of complete imbalance, many symptoms. Anyway, the point I'm getting to is after I had my Kundalini awakening, my mushroom experiences were always accompanied by these beings that would come to me that I could not even describe if I tried. They looked very alien-like, not at all humanoid, but they were very distinct. I could draw one if I really wanted to, that looked almost like a floating octopus machine-like thing. And after the first time I noticed this, when I took mushrooms after my awakening, I was like in my I had this little room in my old house where it was like my spiritual room with like all the posters, and these freaking beings appeared, and I scared the daylights out of me. I was like, because it was like, there's a difference between like ordinary visuals you get from a psychedelic and then what I was seeing. It was like I was peering into another dimension.
Wow.
And I could sense they recognized me. And I freaked out, so I left the room, and then I noticed they were following me. And my wife was downstairs with my daughter, and I was like, and then I realized they're just gonna follow me around. I'm gonna have to like go and investigate. So I accepted the fact that their presence was there, and I went back into my room, and I was just like laid down, and I was like, okay, well, what is all this about? What do you want? And then they started kind of like coming towards me, which freaked me out even more.
Wow.
But what ended up happening was it was like they were clearing out my energy.
Wow.
Like I just let them it felt like they were working on me. Not like in a surgical way, but I could just feel as I allowed them to be there, that I could feel energy moving within my body quite noticeably.
Wow.
And I found that like after about 20 minutes of this process, I could sense they were done, and they kind of went away, and I sat up, and I felt amazing, man. I felt like so tapped in to my higher self.
Wow.
So they've come back many times, and now I know.
I never heard that story.
Yeah, now I know they're here to sort of work on me and clear my energy. And as unusual as they are, I see them now as a friend.
Wow. Yeah.
So
what if that's your higher self?
That's my interpretation, is that what I perceive is not what they are or what they look like.
Right.
But I can recognize this symbology as an opportunity to sort of cleanse my energy in a very noticeable way.
That's really cool, man. It's kind of cool too, because like we're in this reality, like experiencing reality through our meat suit of our avatar, we're not aware of what we're maybe seeing. So I think sometimes people like are really afraid of certain ETs, or they're afraid of certain like visions they get.
Yeah.
And they're running from it, not knowing that might actually be them. That could be you, like could be like a soul family.
It probably is.
And you're like, stop fucking following me. It's like, bro, we just love you.
We love you. We've been with you from the dawn of eternity. Yeah.
You just forgotten because you're in the meat suit.
Yeah.
You know?
You look weird to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They look at us and like, oh,
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes I think one time I did like a little bit of psilocybin or something, or I forget what it was, but it's like looking at my hand, and then you know it's like a thing you do. Like,
yeah.
But then it just started looking like an amphibian. Like, I don't know, it looked like a mitt, or I don't even know how to describe it. But it's like we're so used to like, oh, this is a hand, but it looks so, if you stare at it long enough, you start thinking differently about it. You're like, whoa, it's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
But it's
in fact, during my awakening earlier on, I'm curious about, because this is something we never talked about. I would go through moments, you could say, little like waves of perception, like here and there, maybe a half a dozen times, where this is like, again, almost a decade ago, many years ago, where I would look at normal people and they looked alien to me. Where I felt like, not that implying I'm an ET, but it felt like human beings looked alien to me. My visual perception of them was that of like, wow, this is very unusual looking to me. Yeah. And I would snap out of it. But I don't know, has that ever happened?
That has happened. Yeah. And I don't know if it's it's not disassociation, but yeah, it's times that you get to maybe such a state to where, then you look and you're like, oh, there's just something. And there's certain people too that their appearance, I don't know, sometimes it's going to sound kind of weird, but certain people, I wonder if there's a correlation between like maybe certain star systems someone's connected to their appearance, or it's not even their appearance, it's their energy, you know? But I've noticed that when I meet certain people, I can like feel different energy from them. Sometimes it's also correlated to maybe a look or something like that. But a lot of times it's more just energy, you know?
Yeah.
You can just kind of feel, there's different, star systems with different energies. It's interesting, you know what I mean? Like there's like some really logical people that I know that I believe have very strong connections to the Greys, because the Greys are extremely smart, but extremely logical. And maybe some of these friends that I know, they're also not that really tapped into the emotions. They're kind of like, emotions are like something they don't really want to deal with.
Right.
So it's like, oh, maybe they have a parallel incarnation, like as a Grey or something. And
very well could be the case,
And then some people may be really sensitive or something, and maybe they're more connected to, I don't know, like a very heart-based one or something like that. Or it's interesting.
I feel like you can tell the people who are really connected with ETs, like friends of our people we know, that are really, they've always really studied them and learned
like
about
Bridget
them
or something.
Yeah, it's almost like I could see that.
Yeah,
they have probably a lot of ET connections.
Yeah. And the cool thing is that anyone listening to this right now, everyone has connections to the stars.
For sure.
It's just that they may tone it out or not be aware of it, or it sounds so taboo. But you're like an infinite, eternal spiritual being that is not just incarnated on one planet as one person. Like you have an oversoul that's connected to many different star systems. Yeah. And right now on the planet, I think it's a time of we're waking up to like these connections. And the funny thing is we're like afraid of like ETs when a lot of these ETs are other aspects. Yeah, they're family. They're other aspects of us, you know? Yeah. It's kind of an interesting idea. Yeah.
It is, and I think just because we've forgotten to such an extent that we've just become so acquainted with this limited reality and our limited sense of self that the idea is just such a stretch for our mind and our belief systems that we're like slowly going through an awakening to like get us more comfortable with these other aspects of ourselves. But I think initially it invokes a lot of fear energy as these belief systems sort of expand and shatter some of them. Yeah. You know? So I can understand it.
Yeah, me too. Definitely. So,
so we were ATVing, and then we
were ATV'd, and then we got on that tangent. So yeah, a lot of mushrooms in general, something that kind of make people, I think, a little more sensitive sometimes, right? Yeah. The other one that we enjoy sometimes is Wachuma. Yes. Which is San Pedro, which I never want. Like the funny thing is, I never saw myself, I did mushrooms when I was like 16, 17 years old, and I like overdosed. And like I took way too much. My idea was like, oh, I have a high drug tolerance because my mom has a high drug tolerance, so I'm gonna take a whole bunch of it. I took a whole bunch of it, but what ended up happening is like I had this crazy. It's funny because I told you this, but when I had this hallucinogenic experience where it was so intense that I was closing my eyes, I was seeing these like symbols that I didn't understand. And this was before my awakening. I was like 16, 17 maybe, and now I've seen this thing called the language of light. And it was very clear to me that I think that that's what I was seeing, these floating symbols that made no sense to me. Yeah. But it's funny, it's interesting because after that 16, 17 years old experience, I think I shut down a lot of my intuitive abilities because it scared the shit out of me. I was like, holy fuck, what is all this stuff that I'm seeing? So I I like toned it out completely. And then now I'm learning to get more and more of that back by like letting go of the fear of the unknown, because that negative experience in the unknown type thing.
Yeah.
But I never even saw myself doing ayahuasca, San Pedro, much like anything. And then you and I obviously went to Costa Rica, and I was just gonna go and have fun, and then like you were gonna go take the plant medicine, and then I ended up doing it every night. You know what I mean? And now we've gone three times. Yeah, we've gone 3 times. So I've done it 12 times in my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting how these things like bring up the shadow in a way, you know? What would you say has been, you know, you've done ayahuasca more than 12 times, you know, more than, because it's 4 times a year at the place we go in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And then
like 20 something times.
Yeah. What do you think has been the most profound lesson you've had? I know we've been on a podcast recently and talked about this, but what would you say is the most profound lesson? It
is almost impossible for me to pick one.
Yeah.
I'm just amazed at the plant medicine's ability to allow you, at least temporarily, to see so deeply within yourself, so deeply beyond the conscious mind. Like, we all have traumas, we all have unresolved issues affecting us, shadow, if you will. And it's just hard to see. We're sort of stuck in our like beta, alpha sort of state of waking human consciousness. And it just takes us so deep and expands us so much that we can just, you know, I've had many like memories from when I was like 2-3 years old, very clearly come up during ceremonies. And I was able to see like how these little memories have like, you know, created these core beliefs that have dictated my life and rippled into pretty much all key areas of my life in sort of a sometimes negative way.
Right.
And the plant medicines have allowed me to kind of see that and see the connection. And once I saw that connection, it's like, oh, like so much of my life makes perfect sense. And I can now go forward in awareness and not allow that belief to hold me down.
Yeah.
So that's sort of a fundamental example. There's been many.
Yeah. And I've had the same. And it's like, it's interesting because it really all comes down to kind of like what beliefs create reality.
Yeah.
And there's these times in our past when we have certain beliefs that were formed based on something that happened in our life.
Yeah.
And then that was on autopilot, and we were just living according to that belief system.
Literally, yeah. And
not aware of it. But then in like an ayahuasca experience, basically what it's showing you is more of yourself. And it shows you one experience that you had when you developed a belief system. And then you recognize that, and then you realize that you've been living that your whole life, and then you become free.
Become free, yes.
And that's really all it is. So it's funny because anyone listening to this, you don't have to do the plant medicine, but you can learn like this experience of what we're sharing you. That's shadow work.
Yeah.
It's becoming aware of those beliefs, experiences that cause the beliefs, and then becoming free of it, and then realizing you don't have to continue to live in the autopilot mind of its power.
Yeah. You know? And like you said, there's many options. Like we're also big fans of breathwork. That's another way to expand consciousness.
Yep, for sure.
In fact, it was developed, the kind we do, holotropic, was developed by Stanislav Grof, who was a psychedelic researcher of LSD. And his goal, which I think his studies were getting shut down by the government. You know, they started cracking down and not allowing it. And he wanted a modality to mimic as closely as he could in a drug-free way, if you will, the psychedelic experience. And that's how he developed holotropic breathwork, which can be a sort of a psychedelic thing. I've had
me too.
Spirit guide encounters and all sorts of cool mystical happenings.
Yeah, I remember when I first did transformative breathwork was when we went to the place in Costa Rica, and I was waiting for you to come because you were on a different flight because you were coming from LA or something. Yeah. And then it was literally like doing DMT or something. It was like I was like. Yeah, my hands clammed up. I did this crazy thing. I could feel myself letting go of control. And it was like just breathing in that pattern for 40 minutes. It brought all this emotion and trauma up to the surface. Yeah. And then as I let it go, I just started feeling free. And then at the end, I had these visuals. I had like this mandala visual that was very clear to me. And then I remember being hungry as fuck. Yeah. Because you do the breath work, you then get hungry. And I was fasting all day because I didn't want to eat the shitty airport food. Right. I was like so hungry, but I was so fascinated. I was like, this is amazing. Like I just was breathing. Yeah, I know. And this happened. Like, what the hell? Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember you hyping it up. I arrived and you had just finished. And I had this memory of the look in your eye, these big eyes like, bro, I just did breath work. And this happened and this happened. It's like a trip. And I was like, whatever, man, you know,
Yeah.
sounds relaxing. But then like a week later or 5 or 6 days later when I did it, it was just as you said, even beyond what I
really
interpreted from what you said.
I couldn't remember your experience with it right away.
Yeah, extremely powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, breath work is very powerful.
Yeah.
It's just breathing. A lot of the simple things in life are the most powerful.
Mm-hmm.
It's like breathing, I mean, like eating healthy food, water,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like,
Right.
you just have the bare necessities are good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a theme that I'm going through right now in my life is simplicity, simplifying my life.
Yeah.
And I know, you know, the FTP thing I did, I was telling him, you know, about what I was talking about when we have a thing where we show people how to go full-time doing what they love. It's called that full-time purpose.
Yep.
And every month, you know, we have either coaches that do a call or we do a call and we answer questions and stuff. And one of the things I was talking about is how like everything comes down to energy. And because of the world we live in now with phone, distractions, our attention is being split so many different places that we don't have the energy to create our dream life or to go after our dreams or whatever it is because our energy is so dispersed. Like part of me, and I think about this with YouTube, and I'm sure you can relate maybe in some ways. Like when I first got on YouTube, all I did was YouTube. I focused on making YouTube videos every day. I didn't even really have an email list yet. I was just focusing on YouTube, and I was so passionate about it. But because I had so much energy just on YouTube, I was able to get so much momentum and become very good at like keywords and like grow on YouTube. But then as I started becoming more successful, it goes from YouTube to email list to having more shit. Then I get a nice house in Vegas. Then I go do this. Then I start traveling, and then I start developing friends, and then my energy gets all split all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
And now what I'm realizing is the power of going back to that simplicity, even though maybe it's not just YouTube, because now the focus is actually the podcast. Mm-hmm. And also not just the podcast, but like doing live events for me. And in the same way, it's like the thing I was telling to the full-time purpose people, the members of it was like, you become like most people, they're not putting all their energy in one thing for it to become very, very powerful. The momentum isn't able to build. And just so you guys know as well, Victor and I, how long we've been full-time doing what we love? Like
3-4 years?
3-4 years now. And it's been definitely a journey. If we knew what we did back then, we probably would have gone full-time like within months.
Yes.
Right?
For sure.
One of the main things you told me, I remember we got on a phone call and you told me like, well, how much is your bills? And this is when I started growing on YouTube, and you're like, oh, like, I was like, I don't know, like $1,800 a month. He goes, oh, that's like 8 coaching clients.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, you're right. If out of my like if I just got 8 clients, I go full time. And we've seen many people in full-time purpose go full-time doing what they love. And it's so simple.
Yeah.
You just have to know the strategy to do it and the willingness to learn different skills, whether that's being a coach or a healer or a podcaster or growing on social media. So one thing that maybe you're watching this right now and this resonates with you, if you're a light worker, you want to accomplish your mission, go full-time doing what you love, you go to fulltimepurpose.com, fulltimepurpose.com. We have a training there that will show you how to go full-time doing what you love. And that full-time purpose there is at the end of that training, you can join that full-time purpose.
Yeah,
and
our coaching program.
Our coaching program and show you how to do that. The price on that is going up soon because of how valuable it is and how much content is in there. So if you're listening to this right now, we're going to keep it live for a couple more weeks at the price. Yeah, we've been
having a sale on it for like 2 years, and now we're finally going to bump it up to what it's really worth. Or even still under what it's worth, but
anyone that's in it knows like it's crazy value. And it's like, you know, accountability and coaching, and you get a high vibe group of people that are also going full time doing what they love. Yeah. And the group has been phenomenal, and there's been many people in the group that have gone full time doing what they love, applying the process of how to grow on social media or how to like get coaching clients and all this stuff. So go to fulltimepurpose.com if that resonates with you. I thought it would just shameless plug in there as well for that.
For sure. It's a thing I think a lot of people are feeling inspired to do. Yeah. But then what stops them is like, well, I don't know how. There's the what. I want freedom. I want a new career. I want to have a sense of purpose. Yeah. But I don't know how. It's overwhelming. There's so many ways to go about it. But that's something that me and you, for whatever reason, have always had kind of a nerdy interest in. So we've really done a lot of like the legwork and become good at all these different skills. So for us to teach it, it can be done in a very streamlined and accelerated way. We just have to do it. So that's why he mentioned it, because a lot of people reach out to us and say, I want to do what you do.
Yeah.
How? It's like, well, I
I
can't just tell you in a DM. We have a program where we guide you through it.
Yeah, I do get asked a lot. And I think it's because of everything happening in the world with the craziness.
Yeah.
People are going online, or they're working a job that's not as secure, or they don't enjoy it as much anymore.
Or they lost their job.
Or that, yeah. And it's like now it may be time to go for what you love. You know what I mean? And there's many ways to do that, but one way that if you resonate with our content, we can help you do that by going to fulltimepurpose.com. Anyways, where I was going with that is like, then it became more successful. And from that, things become more complex. So what I've been learning is to keep everything so simple. Think of everything in life like energy. Everything is energy. So if you streamline your energy into something you're passionate about, and that's why like me going full-time doing what I love, I had to like be a full-time YouTuber before I was a full-time YouTuber for that to happen. And that was me having my energy aligned to that reality.
Yeah.
And just focusing on that. And that's why we tell people in full-time purpose, just in general, don't focus on YouTube and Instagram and this and that and this and this and that. It's like you focus on one thing that you put your energy into so that you can gain the momentum to grow, and then you figure out how to optimize that. But now that things have gotten more complex, it's making me realize the power of simplicity. And now I'm going back to the simple. I'm going back to like podcasts. Still making videos, but like I was like making TikToks. Like I stopped making as many TikToks and all this other BS because I'm realizing it's just spreading myself thin. It's attention. And I feel more happy and in a flow state when I'm just focused and everything is simple.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's been like a big epiphany for me. And yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the things I sort of, communicate about a lot with my audience because they're all going through an awakening. So everyone listening to you, obviously, because this happens on a general level in everyone's life, where as we become more aware, which is what an awakening implies, you start to be able to see all the different things in your life and like their degree of resonance. And you'll find certain things resonate with you and certain things don't. Yeah. And so it's because certain things we're doing are not essential. Maybe like, for example, could be the TikTok for you is not something that's really part of your highest passion, but you just thought you should do it. So you've been doing it. Yeah. And I think a lot of us have things like that in our life. But when you have like the things that are meant to be in your life and the things that are not really germane to who you are, it becomes this overwhelming, scattered thing where even the things you do want to do, like your YouTube and me with writing, it's like we just don't have the time or the energy or the space. So it is for me as well an increase, like a continual process of refining myself and dialing in and becoming clear the things I really want in my life and want to put energy into versus the things that I don't. And a lot of times it does mean setting boundaries or letting go of certain things. But there's not only a productivity in the simplicity, but a joy, a happiness. You can be healthy. Yeah. You're not always burnt out and fatigued and overwhelmed. There's like it's definitely an important thing. I think a lot of people, but what I had to admit to myself is I have to really work on it because I had the tendency to get all heady and scattered. So I have to always reel myself back in. Yeah. When I get out of control. Mm-hmm.
When do you get out of control? Like,
I thought that was a weird way to put that.
Yeah.
Well, I can just get off on tangents, sort of like what you were discussing. So one of the things I've decided to do is, it sounds kind of like time consuming, but in the end it's not, for example, I have an Instagram account. That's one of the ways I run my business. And so it's like, it's a valid thing in my life, but for some reason it's so compelling to waste time on Instagram, to start scrolling and looking at stories. So what I do is I delete it every day. And then whenever I'm going to use it for business purposes, I download it. I put all the password in. I make a story. I delete it afterwards, and then it's done. In fact, just before earlier, I saw that. Did that.
Oh, so you deleted it off your phone right after?
Yes, because I know. So
then you have to re-download it. Yeah. Re-log in.
Wow. And that saves me a lot of time, ironically, because it helps me
go into it less. It is addicting, dude. Like I look at my screen time, and it's fucking ridiculous. Yeah. My screen time is nuts, dude. Like
really?
It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm embarrassed to even say what it is, and it's like, I justify it because I do online stuff for a living, but it is like, I know a lot of like high level entrepreneurs that are, I was just in the office talking to Drew for a second to get this tripod so that we could do, cause I didn't have two tripods. I go in there, he's talking to his team. he got off social media like Instagram like 4 or 5 days ago. Says he feels more clear than ever.
I bet.
Now he wants to get off his phone so that he can become more creative. So he's talking to his team like, hey, yeah, in the next 4 days, I want to get off my phone and be off my phone for a long time. Like,
wow.
In general. And I was like, wow. Like, and it's so true because I could just see how powerful that'd be for creativity and so many different things so that you could focus. And I can see like one little hack that I've been sharing, and I know that you started doing it as well a little bit, but turn on Do Not Disturb on your phone like all the fucking time.
Yes.
Like don't ever take it off Do Not Disturb, because the idea, and yes, if you have kids, like I can see, you have kids and stuff, and there's a purpose but in the morning, if you are reacting to your phone, then you are in reaction mode, and then you're going to be in reaction mode in other areas of your life. When your wife or your kids or someone, your boyfriend, girlfriend, say something to you, you'll be reaction instead of like being able to observe and choose your response. So what I do is I go in my phone and still, and every day. But when I go into it, I'm responding and I'm not reacting to ting, 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 Slack notification, business this, business that. It's like scattering the attention. So yeah, that's been huge. Just putting Do Not Disturb on my phone for pretty much, especially it's pretty much on all day, but especially in the morning while I'm working, so that I don't get into the pattern of fucking scrolling Instagram.
Right.
Or some shit when I'm supposed to be writing an email or making content or something.
Doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
You end up doing what you react to. Instead of what you actually consciously are choosing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that helped me is not beating myself up. I can gather a lot from the comments. I get a lot of people, they get lost on tangents as well. Mm-hmm. And then they feel hard on themselves. Like, I'm just weak-willed. I'm lazy. I'm an addict. But what I've learned, especially with the smartphones, not to harp on them too much, but there's like an intention and a very advanced awareness of human psychology that goes into how it's laid out. For example, the way there's like an endless scroll to Instagram.
Yeah.
And like
you're right.
Dings.
I never thought of that.
We're like freaking Pavlov's dog with those dings. And it's not that we're weak. It's just there's like a slot machine psychology they use where like you can go into your phone and it's like you never know. It could be a like, or it could be a good email, or it could be a bad email.
Dopamine.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just very hard for us to resist these urges that have been sort of wired in from these like companies.
Yeah.
So instead of like feeling like a failure at life, it's like I recognize the pull it has, and I too take proactive measures with Do Not Disturb or turning my phone off at certain times of the day, etc. And it frees. It makes you free. You're like no longer a slave to the device or whatever it is compelling you and causing you to drift off your path. So
yeah.
And I just say that because a lot of people, I think
that's
relate
good
with
that
what we're
you said
saying,
that.
but they're like beating themselves up.
Yeah, they judge it. You're right, man. I'm always in my phone, or something like
Right.
that. That's why one reason I'm also admitting that I'm in my phone a lot, even with the Do Not Disturb.
Yeah.
And it's something I am intending to change, is to be in it way less.
Yeah.
And to really just focus on what I love doing and how I can add value into the world. Keeping things simple.
Yeah. Keeping things simple. Want to hear a quick little funny story?
Yeah.
Like, so, I was here like a week or two ago in Sedona.
Yep.
And I forgot all my clothes. I literally, I forgot my shirts. I like to have my shirts on hangers and I bring them. I brought my suitcase with shorts and all that stuff, but no shirts. So I literally had to wash and rewear the same white t-shirt like 5-6 days in a row. And what I realized in doing that is that it didn't, with the exception of it being inconvenient to wash a new shirt every day, it didn't change my life at all. It was in fact liberating to just not have to worry about what am I going to wear. And it made me realize how unimportant my shirts are. It was literally like this. I have spent time buying clothes and what am I going to wear? Not too much, but it made zero difference in my life. So it made me realize that some of the things I spend time doing are completely unessential to like my core level of like happiness in my life. So I'm like you, I'm on a simplicity kick to see how far I can take it and how free I can become.
Yeah. Like part of me was like, as well, like I'm figuring out what I do in Vegas, because in Vegas I have a house there and I have a house here, and I haven't been to that house in Vegas in a month, and I go back in a couple days for a while, and it's this big old house that's like big monthly payment, and I'm not there. And I have a lease until like June of 2021, but I may get out of that sooner because the guy that owns it wants to sell it. And part of me is thinking that if he does sell it and I get out of that, I may just be here half the time and then just travel out of a suitcase and be free. Like, think about how much more free you feel when you don't have all this shit. Like, I'm like, part of me is like, that ATV is cool. And for me, the ATV I got because it to me represents fun. And I spent the last 3 years working my fucking ass off to become successful. Like literally like unnecessary amounts of hard work. And like when I say hard work, I mean like I just make it really hard on myself and my willpower and not that it was unnecessary because obviously it led to where I'm at, but I didn't enjoy life as much as I could have. And I was maybe judging myself because I'm like, man, I'm not judging life as much. So it's like, get this thing. And I'm like, this is a way to have fun. Like it's such an adrenaline rush. It's so much fun. And it to me represents fun. So I bought that. So I have that. I have my car. But like, yeah, like me. And even then my assistant in Vegas, she asked me like, would you, because she's helping trying to get like someone to get into the house because she also has a real estate license. So she's like, what if I also like I sold they wanted your furniture. And at first like, no, it's my furniture. I just bought all that in January.
Yeah.
And then part of me was like, what if I just did sell them my furniture, even though I'm not the one selling the house, so it would have to be a separate deal. You know, it's not going to, but what if like, you know, big house full of furniture, I just let it go.
Yeah.
Like that might be liberating, dude. I might feel free. Then I could live, like I literally want to live like a month, you know, I'll come back to this place in Sedona, you know, throughout the year. But like, what if I went to Tulum for a month or Costa Rica for a month, Miami for a month or to, so many places and I'll just be free. So having less thing and just literally travel with like one camera, one laptop. Like literally, I like wearing the same. Like we're both wearing the same brand shirt right now. It's a real comfortable shirt.
It is.
I'm wearing black. He's wearing the white. But like, I literally could just get like 6 of these.
I plan to.
And that's
do
it.
That.
And that's it. Like they're so comfortable. Like, and then same with like, you know, having like a whole bunch of the same fucking like just simplicity. You don't have to think so much about what you're going to wear every day. Like, oh well, I got black and white shirts.
Yes.
That's it. And then maybe a jeans or something like that. That's it. Like I wear that every day.
Yeah.
And then when you make one choice that you can then automate because you always then gravitate to that choice, it makes it so easy to then make choices about other things. You don't lose your willpower or the decision fatigue, you know? So like there's a big power in just focusing on what you really love and doing that and then kind of not nixing out, but simplifying everything else, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I can say from firsthand experience that what you were sort of suspecting about selling your house and all the things, you said, wow, it'd feel liberating.
Yeah.
I've done that twice. As some of you know, I've sold my house, all the things in it, except like the clothes on our back and, you know, certain essential items like pictures and stuff.
How'd you sell everything in it? Was it like a garage sale or was it like they said, hey, we'll buy it furnished? You're like, I'll give it to you furnished.
Craigslist and a garage sale. And then we just gave away a bunch. The rest we just put out in the front yard, and I made a Craigslist ad saying I took a picture, free stuff. Within like an hour, it was just gone. But anyway, it was so liberating, man. It felt, I think a lot of people crave that too, that freedom, that liberation. There's like a lightness I would literally feel energetically within my consciousness as I'd sell my physical belongings. It really does.
Wow.
It's a very beautiful experience. And I think a lot of people are craving it. A lot of people reach out because they've heard my RV story. They're like, I want to get
What's your RV story?
Well, since you asked. Well, just I sort of alluded to it. Like there was a couple times in my life where I felt that same craving, kind of like you, for freedom, to just like not be bound in a life situation. And I like the RV idea because it's a pretty inexpensive way to be free as a bird and go wherever you want. Yeah. But of course, the drawback, if you look at it that way, is you must adapt to a very minimalistic lifestyle. Yeah. And we did that in a big way. When I had my dream to get onto YouTube, kind of like you, what I'd let go was my whole life in Michigan, my house, my careers, everything, friendships, family. And we moved into a 21-foot RV, my whole family. And for those of you who don't know, I have 3 young children. We have a dog and a cat. And yes, litter box, all enclosed in a 21-foot RV. It was very, very small. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 beings. Yeah. 7 beings in a little 21-foot RV. And it did come with its stress, and there was an adaptation period, but it was amazing. It just felt really cool because I literally had a few pair of clothes, my Kindle, my
probably really cool family bonding experience too.
It was
just being around, triggering each other, and there's no space.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when you went to San Diego, and then I started getting to know you, and then you moved to Vegas, and you moved into an apartment for a while. And I'm like, man, you could definitely afford to move into a house, but the apartment for you was such a luxury.
Yes.
You're like, I get my own room with my wife, and then the kids each have their own, like, it
seemed enormous.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, what are we going to do with all this space?
Yeah.
But one of the real cool things that I learned is that my level of happiness was either the same or better in that 21-foot RV. And we had come from a really nice house, nice car, newer cars, like really a nice sort of, a lot of spoils in a sense, a good lifestyle by most people's standards. And we really crammed ourselves in that little situation. But like how I felt happiness was way better in a sense because I was on my path, but I realized how unessential all this stuff is. So I totally understand what you were saying, that like that craving for simplicity and freedom.
There's a guy that is it's like an internet marketer guy, the Alex Becker guy.
Yep.
And he lived in a like $2 to $5 million mansion in Dallas. Beautiful 6-story house. Had like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or something like that. I think it was in the back of Ferrari, in the back of all of his videos. And he had all this complexity in his life. And what he did, he sold absolutely everything. He moved, and this guy's like probably worth like $50 million. I mean, he's got a lot of money. Sold all his shit, moved into like a high-rise condo that's a one bedroom, one bathroom, or maybe there's 2 bathrooms, I don't know. But it's like one bedroom, and it's just like this. He's got a nice view. And only thing in his house is a fucking desk and his his computer, and that's pretty much it. And like a couple pieces of art and his bed because he had like a really nice bed that he wanted. You know, sleep is important. That's it. He went and he says that his life has never been better because it's so simple that you don't have to. You know, it takes a lot of energy to like look at all your shit and like it's mental space. You know, that's why they say like just make your bed in the morning or. Like get rid of half the shit that you don't use and you make more space in your life or you allow more things to come in, you know? But yeah, like he can afford his condo for like 600 years. So like when you simplify these things, then you have, you know, not just more money to like, but you just realize that your base level happiness does not go up. And if anything, it may make it more cloudy because then it gets in the way of you doing what you're really passionate about. And I say this statement a lot to people, but the biggest change, like not to like pitch full-time purpose again, but the biggest transformation you will ever experience in your life is not from going from 50,000 a year to $1 million a year. The biggest transformation and the biggest jump you'll ever make in your life is when you go from working for someone else to working for yourself if you're meant to and you want to work for yourself. Yeah. Because then you buy your time back. Like I remember when I put my 2 weeks in at Barney's, New York, I went in, I was looking at my photo. The last day was so nostalgic for me because I'm never going to have to go to a job again like this. You know, I go in, there's like this photo of me. There's like this hallway with the photos of everyone that works there. And I'm like in the women's shoes. There's like 7 people. And I look at myself and I'm like, wow, like I was wearing a suit. It's like this is the last time I'm ever going to do this, you know? And there's corporate bullshit at the work company I worked for. They're out of business now, but like there was all this corporate BS I had to deal with. And then the next day, I was like making videos daily on YouTube while I had a 9-to-5 job for 6 months, quit the job. My last day was the Conor McGregor Mayweather fight. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I went and watched the fight that day, which was awesome. And then after that, the next day, I got up. I was like, holy shit, I'm free. Yeah. I was living at my dad's house, but I was fucking free.
Yes.
I made a video. I was like, I could go eat. It was so fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest change. So it wasn't buying more shit. Yes, there's like nice stuff now, nice houses, like all this shit. But the biggest change I've ever made in my life was when I went from working a 9-to-5 job that I wasn't passionate about to doing what I love on my own terms, my own freedom. You know, you and I, we go on our trips. You're here right now. We're chilling for a couple days. We might go to like Costa Rica or go something. You know, we got all these plans. Like we can do that because that's what really freedom is. So
yeah. And one of the cool things I always tell in my coaching group, this I call it the kitchen drawer story. It's and the point is that the moment you step on your path, there's wholeness and freedom and happiness, rather than needing to complete whatever transition you have in your mind. So for me, again, I was living in Michigan and I wanted to live in San Diego, well across the country, and I wanted to be on YouTube and not working I had 2 jobs at the time, 2 businesses, and I was sitting in my kitchen feeling overwhelmed at sort of like the idea of all the transition. I thought I got to sell my house, I got to quit my job, and I was like, oh my God, I felt so like overwhelmed by it. And I said, okay, I caught myself getting all stressed out, because I know a lot of people hearing this like, yeah, I want it, but oh my God, the idea of it so crazy sounding, you know? And I found myself doing that, but luckily I caught myself and I was like, Victor, don't stress out. Keep it simple. What's one thing you can do that'll move you closer to where you want to be? Wow. And I was in my kitchen. I noticed this drawer in my house. We called it the miscellaneous drawer. You guys might have one here. I don't know. It's a drawer where all a bunch of random stuff goes in that has no real place. But the idea, it's like you can't throw the things away. So the idea of organizing the drawer, which I had to do to sell the house, I had to gut the house basically. It was overwhelming in itself, like a 2-hour job to take the bag of batteries and put it in the closet and take the freaking filters from my espresso maker and put it over here. And even that was getting me stressed. Like, oh my God, this miscellaneous drawer. And I caught myself again and said, Victor, you're doing it again, man. Relax, make it fun. And I said, you know what? I'm going to make it fun. So I got a cup of coffee and I played some music and I had a badass time cleaning out that drawer, this drudgerous task. Why? Because I was on my path. I was doing something to move me closer to my vision. Yeah. So the point is, a lot of people say, well, it'd be nice when I get there. It'd be nice when I have the freedom. It's like the moment you decide and take one step forward towards whatever it is that means something to you in your heart, that then there's this soul alignment that takes place. And from that space, there's joy, connection, and even these drudgerous breakdown tasks can be blissful, man. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool, man. Awesome story. What really stands out to me too is it's so simple because it's one thing.
Yeah, and then there's another thing after that.
Yeah, it's one step at a time. And when I went full time on YouTube, I made the choice to make one video a day. Yeah. If I did this one thing that I do, it wasn't make a video a day, then get on this and then do this, and it was one video a day. Yeah. And that was one thing that changed everything. That got me closer to my goal. So it's still one thing, you know. And something that I've been realizing lately is like every one of us has like a future version of ourselves. That's like the most ideal version of us, and that we can imagine. And if you imagine that version of you, what are their daily actions like? What are their daily habits like? But there's probably 1 or 2 main leverage actions they're taking every day that's getting them the result that they've got. And if you just do that one action, then that's all you got to do. So you can imagine it. What is that one action? But I like what you said, because what you're saying is, it doesn't have to even be that one main action, like this big overarching thing. It could be what's the thing in the moment that will then lead you to the next thing. It's kind of like the Bashir's principle of following your passion. But it's like cleaning the miscellaneous drawer out. You know what I mean? It's also a symbol. It's like not putting this shit off anymore. And I'm a big fan of how you do one thing is how you do everything. Yes. So I realized this when I was doing my yin phase. I was going through yin phase and like healing the feminine, like the divine feminine energy inside of me that was wounded from my past, going through the pain of my past. I started bulking. Remember, I started bulking. Yeah. Bulking errands more fun because
fun to go out to eat with for sure.
I go out to eat. I just get everything. And but I got fat. I got not fat. I mean, but in my own perception, I started spilling over, and I could tell that. I went a little bit too far with that. And what I realized is because I wasn't optimizing and mindful, I could go back into the bulk phase, it'd be fine, but I had to be mindful of it. I was doing it kind of sloppy. Because I was sloppy in that, I was also being very sloppy with my business. Yeah. And I think that it's all just a reflection, you know? Even with business, I was telling the FTP people yesterday, like, if you don't want customers to return, then you can't return on other things. Like if you want your customers to be decisive, then you have to be decisive. Yeah. How you do one thing is how you do everything, but it's also what you're attracting. Yes. So it's all reality is a reflection. So the main thing that I'd like anyone to watch in our podcast right now or listening to it is that it's all about simplifying everything, but then focusing on you. You know, focusing on you and doing the personal growth. And I've realized we both talked about this yesterday. we feel kind of stagnant in some areas of our life with our business because we're doing the same things over and over again. And we know that we need to branch off into the new to experience a new like level. And that means like stepping out of the comfort and stepping into the new. And once you do that, it's exciting, it's new, it's fresh. So some people may be like, why am I not getting the results I want? Well, you may be doing the same thing every day, feeling the same emotions, taking the same action every day, therefore you're getting the same result every day. When if you were to just if you were to just trust that and work on you, the degree to which my life expands is the degree to which my personal growth is expanding.
Yeah.
So if I'm not challenging myself, then I'm just in the autopilot mind going through the motions.
Right.
Right. But these little things help optimize energy. Simplifying, going through your closet, throwing away shit you don't need, automating decisions. Like, what do you wear every day? Maybe make it simple. Go all in on your passion by focusing on putting your energy towards it and treating it like your full time before it is your full time. Yeah. Like stuff like that. It's so simple, but it's so powerful.
It is. And I feel like what we're discussing is sort of a theme I'm recognizing in the world and in our audience. I think like the old way of doing many of the things in our life is not working the same as it used to. You're seeing this in business and careers and in politics and everything, and also in our own individual lives. And like you were saying, when that happens, for me, when this sort of cycle happens, there's sometimes parallel to that, like a desire, if you will, a yearning for more depth, more freedom, more expansiveness. So I always take that when I feel stagnant and things aren't really working. I kind of know it's time to do something new. It's time to move on. Yeah. But then it's always like scary. It's like, wow, I'm comfortable here. It was safe here. But I like Tony Robbins. He sometimes has like harsh ways of saying things, but I think what he says something along the lines of, if you're not growing, you're dying. So what he means by that is a lot of us, we build up something around ourselves, a sense of security, a stability, and then we just want to hang on to it. We want to keep it. Yeah. But once we try to hold on to that, that's not like how the river of life tends to work. Then it starts to kind of break apart. And even if you try with all your might, it's going to break apart. Yeah. But the key is to keep flowing with that river. But as you flow down the river, there's new trees, there's new scenes, there's twists and turns and bends. Yeah. You don't know what's up ahead. But I think a lot of us are feeling inspired to like let go and flow forward with the river, let go of the old and embrace the new. But again, it's scary. But that in the unknown, that's where we grow. That's where we find out who we are. Yeah. So we feel like the things we want in life show up there: happiness, joy, wholeness, contentment. But well said. I don't know where I was going with all that, bro. But that's sort of just spitting off what you said.
No, beautiful, bro. Yeah, and I love the analogy too. The going down the river, having new trees and new things that come, even though you're doing something new. You know what I mean? So it's like really trusting the unknown. Yes. And knowing that it's going to be worth it. But I realize that even on YouTube, like when you start becoming successful at anything, I think that there's a mode where you're trying to grow to become and to get where you want. But then once you kind of start getting taste for it, you then want to preserve. Yes. It's much different energy to preserve. Yeah. And now it's like, oh, now the YouTube channel is at this size. I need to preserve it. I catch myself. I'm like, what's going to get views? What's going to do this? Because I got to preserve. And it's a different energy than wanting to expand, wanting to grow, wanting to help more people. It's a different energy. It's a different intention. But I see it happen a lot. And that's why some people become, that's why I say Les Brown's like, you got to be hungry. You know what I mean? And like hunger, like Tony Robbins is like, it's hunger, the one thing that's going to change it. Like the thing that differentiates yourself is your own hunger. And it's like a hunger for growth, a hunger to be like the most ideal version of you. Like we only have like, I don't know, however many, like 100 years to live or more, whatever happens with this whole, technology stuff or like biotech stuff. I don't know. But it's like really having gratitude for who you are, the ability you have to take action and to like do what you want to do. But like staying on that growth mindset has been real pivotal for me. And I catch myself falling sometimes because do I need to make a lot more money? I already have everything I have a lot of stuff I want, but it's like, well, what is the larger vision? The vision is to help, like, I want to create a movement to help people raise their vibration. And I want it to be more about that than me. And I want to like make a tribe out of that. Like it's a vision bigger than me. And I think that when people get to their why, it makes it way different because then why they're doing what they're doing, it's easy to stay consistent to that. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think one of the not drawbacks, but things that sort of deter people from embracing the sort of philosophy we're sharing here, especially with spiritual folks, is the idea that there's an awareness that that's not going to make me happy. Does that really mean we just should be pursuing goals all the time? And what we're kind of saying is yes, but not for the sake of accomplishing more goals and getting more stuff and being bigger. It's for the sake of growth equals happiness. Forward movement equals happiness.
Yeah.
We're in the river if we do that.
Yeah.
And it's more about just being in that forward movement and recognizing our growth along the way. That is what where the happiness lies.
Yeah.
Both of us have gotten to a pretty comfortable place.
Yeah.
We don't really have to work so much. We don't really have to do a lot of things. And we kind of do it. We took like almost a 6 to a year month, sort of in a sense, vacation. But both of us found ourselves getting kind of like depressed. You were like going overboard with your diet. And I was feeling kind of like my addictive, munchy tendencies were coming back as well in my own life. Yeah. There's something missing. What is it? More stuff, more goals? Well, it's like, in a sense, yes, but no. It's striving for something, going for something.
It's a vision and a why.
But doing it for the sake of doing it.
Yes.
For the
I love
joy
that.
of going down the road, not
Yep.
I need to get to another place and then I'm happy. It's not about that. It's about driving.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing I say a lot as well is like you being the new identity. You want to be it for the sake of being it because it's who you are, not because of what it'll get you. So when I was making daily videos on YouTube, it wasn't so that I ditched that was a side effect of ditching my 9-to-5 job and going full time doing what I love. That was part of it. But it was more so like, this is who I really am. I'm like playing this stupid ass script, like agreeing to go to this job that I hate around upper management who's like corporate politic bullshit. That's not who I really am. Who I really am is like somebody that wants to help people, somebody that wants to make content, that like share these ideas. Like this is who I am. Yeah. And I'm doing it because it's who I am. So like an artist, sometimes like, oh, I'm going to create art. So like I have an art gallery studio. No, create art because you're an artist. Yeah. This is who you really are. And then that's when it's sustainable. The people that get on YouTube because they want to be famous or they want views, they don't normally do that well long term. Nope. Because their why isn't strong. They're not really passionate about it. Like passion and your why, I think, is like the most important thing, you know?
It is, because building any big thing, manifesting any vision in life just takes time and energy over time, essentially. But if there's not, like you said, a strong enough why, it's unrealistic to expect yourself to sustain this type of forward movement consistently enough to bring your dreams into reality. But if you can align your actions with your passions, in a sense, that's when you'll be happy along the way, and you can rely on that passion to always sort of push you, or in a sense pull you forward through the ups and downs, through the challenges and changes.
100%. Cool. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. I feel like that's a very strong, powerful point to end on. For those of you that don't know as well, one last, go to fulltimepurpose.com to go full-time doing what you love. Everything we're talking about today. We'll give you the strategy, show you step-by-step how to do that. Yeah. And then where can people find you, Victor, if they want more content on you?
Just real simply now, either just type in my name, Victor Oddo, O-D-D-O, either on Instagram or YouTube. You can just pop up. Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, we'll do another one again soon. Yeah, we appreciate you coming on. And I know it's been a while. Sometimes we're around each other so much, or we see each other. It's been a while because we've both been busy. But it's like, can I have you on more often? You know what I mean? Like it's funner. It's more fun to be doing this than me to have my own solo episode. So
cool. Yeah,
I'm sure they would love that too. So we'll do more of these. And thank you for coming on. And as always, we'll talk to you guys later. Peace, much love, and namaste.
Namaste.